I'll tell you what, sometimes that's a better background.
Yeah,
You try to,
exactly. It's a blank canvas, isn't it? It's a blank canvas.
that's the truth. Hey, like a good song, huh?
Exactly, exactly. That's how it starts.
Hey, first I want to say I'm really honored to have you on the show, man. I'm a huge fan, and
Awesome.
it's
Thank
really a
you.
pleasure to talk with you.
Great. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, you guys, I wanted to start with a new album,
Mm.
Battlelines. I can't stop listening to it. I
Awesome.
think this
Brilliant.
is I think this is I think this is the best one that you guys have done. I mean, start to
Excellent.
finish. Um, what I like about it is I hear a lot of the, the classic melodic hard rock style,
Mm.
but you guys have there's a little bit of a modern sound in this too. Um, like I said,
Yeah.
it's an excellent listen cover to cover. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely on the modern front because we've always tried to inject different influences to all of our albums, whether it's a more pop influence or but certainly from for this album, Pete loves all the old school stuff, but he listens to a lot of new rock as well. And that I think how that affects things is that maybe the way you would play something back in the 80s or 90s, you still play effectively the same chords, but just the way that you're playing it obviously is slightly different. The rhythms on guitars used to be gang, 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 and now it can be gang, gang, gang,
Right,
gang, gang. It's just a little bit
right.
more, I suppose, angry. But absolutely with the modern sounds, we've tried to inject that. But like you say, we've still got all the other ingredients there. I've always said with this album, it's everything we've done before and then something new added to it. So we just sprinkled in new flavors because obviously I've written all the songs before with the guys in the previously Tom and James who left. I've written all the songs with those guys, so the vocals were always going to sound like Vega. So what Pete's done, he's come in with his different flavors, and so it's still essentially Vega, but just with new flavors, new sounds, new vibes, and a massive amount of new energy.
You could really hear it too on the album. I mean, when I listen to what you guys have done in the past and how the band's progressed, and
Yeah.
with this one, I can't believe this fast already, but it dropped September 8th. And
Yeah.
I look at all the songs on this, and it's sometimes it's hard to pick a favorite. Heroes and Zeros kicks it off, and I
Yeah.
like Run with Me, Not Enough, but I still keep going back to Love to Hate You. I think
Cool.
that song is it's
Yeah.
everything that I like in a song. You know,
I'd agree on that point that to me it's the on every album you have the song that obviously it's the first single and then that generally is the song that you kind of feel exemplifies the whole album if you like. And what I like about that song, it went on a real journey because as with all of these songs, they started off with a piece of music that Pete would have sent through to me. And we did it, and in all honesty, the verse and the pre-chorus going into the chorus didn't really change that much. But we had the chorus, and we thought, yeah, this is. It was just one of those songs where we thought this has the potential to be awesome, but it just wasn't there yet. And so we went through three different choruses with the same piece of music. It was like, yeah, still not feeling it. And then Pete had this other song idea. He said, well, I've slammed in this chorus, see what you can do with that. And he came up with a chorus vocal, and I came up with a chorus vocal. And literally, we went, brilliant, put them together, we've got the song. And it was literally like that. Sometimes it may take you a few, and that's the beauty with this album that we've never really done in Vega before. Because Pete was producing the album, we didn't do demos. Me and Pete were basically recording the songs as we wrote them. And
right.
those, so we had the foundation of the song and we took things out, put things in and moved them over here. And it was brilliant. It was really fun to do that, really good fun.
That's really great to hear because that's one of those songs too. When you're, I always like to listen to things in the car, and I kind of take it
Yeah.
back to when I was young, and that's one that you can. I mean, you blow the windows out immediately with that song.
Yeah, exactly. It really is one of those where all the band members came in and added little bits to it to make the song what it is. Because, like I say, you can write a song. Two people could write a song, but it takes everyone else to come in and put their stamp on it to make it as good. There's no, that song wouldn't be as good if Mark didn't come in and put his bass down, and if Billy and Marcus didn't come in and put guitar licks down. And so that is, yes, the song may be on paper written by myself and Pete, but the other guys come in and make it what it is. And it's that energy, and it's just, yeah, it's just got that in your face vibe. It's really cool.
It is. It's a great album. I mean, I can't keep saying enough about it. And when you talked about earlier about a little bit about writing the song, but what's the process for a Vega song? I mean, is it a riff? Is it a chorus? What goes behind to how you guys get started with the song?
I would say, yeah, probably 100% of the time it starts off with the music, and I've always got lyrics lying around that if I think of something, so I got in my iPhone, it's just in the notes. I always just have lyric ideas in there. But I mean, in the past, Tom and James would come up with a musical idea, and then as over the last few albums, I've come up with musical ideas, and then they've, I don't call myself any sort of guitarist. I can get by, but I give them a rough idea, and they've made it better. And then with this album, definitely every song started with an idea that Pete had musically, and then he'd throw it to me. And then there was one time I was on the way to Pete's. I was driving to Pete's to record one song, and before I left, he said, "I've just sent you another song idea, like the music to another song," and it ended up being not enough on the album.
Nice.
And it was a 35-minute drive from mine to Pete's, and I came up with the melody, not the lyrics, but the melody exactly how it is on the album today. And so before I started recording the song that I was going there, so I said, Pete, just put that song on. I've got this song. I can't forget it. Put it on.
Right.
And I just went, and I just sang through the thing, just with no lyrics. It was just coming up with just inaudible, the roar. Actually, the let them hear you roar. That was literally, I had that line from the beginning, and that stayed in there.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's always great to hear. That's why I always ask the question about how bands write the songs, because it's a better experience for me as a listener, because I look at it two different ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We honestly, all these, like I said about Love to Hate You, but the funny thing with 33s and 45s, he had sent me a few musical ideas over, and he said, "Oh, for this one, I had this idea of a bit of a chorus line." And then, which ultimately ended up being the guitar lick into it. But he said, that would be the chorus. And so, okay, yeah, cool. And then I phoned him the next day, and I FaceTimed him like this. And I said, mate, it sounds okay. It fits, but I think we could come up with something better. And he said, well, sing it. Or send it over to me. So I just demo it on my laptop. And he just said, you pillock. You've done it over the wrong song. So he meant his song idea 18 or whatever it was, and I went, "Oh, I see." And then so it's we're bouncing ideas backwards and forwards to each other all the time. It's great. I'd be saying to him about with Heroes and Zeros, you've got that pre-chorus, "We all need to be the one," and he just had that as a middle section. I said, "Pete, seriously, that bit is too good to just go by once." I said, "I've got an idea for that. That needs to be the pre-chorus." So again, he chopped it around and put it in his pre-choruses, and there we go. So,
and that's the part that runs through your head too after you hear the song. And that's a great song when you can talk about it and you hear it running through your head for days.
And that's the next single. It comes out. We've done a video for that, and that comes out on the day the album comes out on September the 8th. So
that's a great song. I think everybody's going to be really happy, the fans, and I think you guys are going to get a lot of new fans with this too.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, we've had across the board, when you release singles and videos, you have some people that are like, but across the board, I don't think I've seen a negative comment. So it's I think this seems to be getting into maybe a few different areas that we haven't been before, which hopefully will turn into new fans. Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope the same for you guys. Just keep growing. That's the main thing.
That's the plan. We've always said that the main currency for this band is fun and enjoyment, because no one does this these days to buy the Ferraris and the mansion. You're doing it because you love doing it. And our currency is the first, fun is the first currency. Breaking even is the next level of, okay, as long as we're breaking even, you know, anything after that is a bonus.
That keeps you doing it. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about we talked about how you guys wrote the songs and things like that. But when you're writing a song and you come up with, you know, with these big hooks and, you know, these nice choruses that you guys come up with, what does a signature song feel like? Like you say, man, you know, we really nailed this.
It generally ends up being the first single, because that's the one you all think, yeah. Every album across the board, from Kiss of Life, White Knuckle Ride, Stereo Messiah, it's just the songs that you generally think, oh, there you go. It's the one just, because you might go through it. I mean, in all fairness, with this album, we didn't have any waste. Oh no, I tell a lie. We did. There's only one song that we recorded that didn't make the album, because we just thought it's just not up to as good a standard. But generally, in the past, you've written a few songs, and then you come to one, you think, there you go, that's the one. That's the building block now. That's the one everything has to sort of be as good as or compete up against. You know, you get, so, and that's normally, but not so much with this album, because when Tom and James said that they weren't going to stay in the band anymore because they took a hiatus, and then it's like, yeah, we're not going to come back. Pete and I got straight to writing, and I think the first song we wrote was "Don't Let Them See You Bleed," which is a very Vega sounding song, you know, and it's one of those that we're all kind of sort of like, yeah, love that song, that's cool. And I think it's just, from there we just thought, yeah, we know what we're doing now. You get that recipe and you just go from there, really. But you know, it's all comes very naturally. No one's trying to write a song. It's just ideas coming, and if you don't, sometimes you're not in a place where you can make a note with them. Fortunately, these days we all have iPhones connected to us all the time. Right. So I'm just to record an idea. I've got countless voice recordings on my phone of me sounding like an idiot going. I'm on an aeroplane, so I'm just like going and just muttering a melody.
That's cool. That is cool. That's what it's about, though. You know.
Yeah. You just got to make a note of it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Hey, you have there's so many good songs on there, and you guys have a song on here. It's kind of like a ballad type song, "Into the Fire," which I think is a great song. You know, how do you feel about the slower songs? I mean, it seems like every melodic hard rock album should have one, but it seems like they're making a comeback kind of now.
Maybe. I mean, it took us a while we've done ballads, and we've got some songs which I think are great ballads, if you like, but I don't think I really write love song ballad. I don't know, maybe I'm kidding myself. But Into the Fire, I mean, that was the song that Billy and I came up with, and Pete just added something to it. But it was very, very, very Def Leppard to start with. The guitar part, it was a bit too hysteria. It had that same kind of rhythm. So then it was like, so Billy came back with just almost one note bit on it. But then when it gets to the chorus, it's almost like a really rocking riff in the chorus, isn't it? Right. You know, and it took me ages to come up with a chorus. I was happy for that, because it wasn't really easy because you're really in ballad territory for the verse and the pre-chorus, and then the riff comes in for the chorus, and I think, where am I supposed to go with that? So it took a while to get to there, but it was worth it, because it's one of my favorites. Absolutely, I was fighting for that to be one of the singles, but I got outvoted.
It's tough, huh, when you get the whole band and then you get the label involved saying what they want.
Well, we as a band, we really could not decide on what songs to have as singles. It's the same when we're talking about the live set list now. What are we going to do for the live set list? And we ended up having a barbecue at my house, just all the band and girlfriends and wives coming over. And even then, just to sort of play songs and see who we had friends there as well. Which songs do you think's a single? We changed our mind about 10 times during that barbecue as well. It was, but we sort of, it was a happy headache to have. It was a happy headache.
Right, right. And now when you look at a live set list, with 8 albums, it has to be really tough to pull a set list out of that.
We're looking at this UK headline tour we've got going on September, October, and that's a bit easier because we've got, as long as we want, really. So we'll probably play about 15, 16 songs. So we're probably going to half new and half old, probably, because we really want to play the new stuff, because we're really proud of it. Normally you stick in 4 or 5 newbies, but we're probably going 6 or 7 or 8, I think, at this point.
Right.
But when it comes to maybe if we do a support set, a 45-minute slot, that becomes a bit challenging. What do you drop?
Sure.
What do you put in? So you're never going to please everybody. So yeah, you just have to try.
That's right.
Play them twice as fast and get them all in.
That's it. Or play them in pieces.
Yeah, exactly. We do a medley.
That's it. That'll fit everything in.
That takes a lot of rehearsing now, and we don't like rehearsing that much. So
yeah, you just want to get out there and play. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Full throttle.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the beginning of Vega. How did all this get started for you guys? I mean, to get to this point. I mean, it's you see the growth in the band through all these stages.
Well, Tom and James were writing songs for Frontiers artists for a while, and then they said they just wanted to do their own project. And I've never been a fan of projects because I think it just dilutes the market. But they approached me at a gig. I was in another band at the time, and they approached me and said they'd seen my other band, Kick. They were a fan of that band from the early 2000s. And they said, look, would you sing on this album? And I didn't really know what they were doing at that point, and I just dismissed it a little bit. I said, well, here's my email address. Send me an idea if you like. And they sent me an idea, and I was like, actually, that's pretty good, to be fair. And then it literally grew, because I think the first song we wrote was Into the Wild and then Kiss of Life, which is a pretty good 1-2 punch right there. And so we literally, after those 2 songs, we were talking, we said, this isn't going to be a project. This is going to be a proper band. Let's do this properly. Let's do this. And so literally we went about, after a few weeks of knowing each other, we just said, yeah, we'll do a band. And funny enough, it was after that initial meeting, it was probably still about 6 months until we actually were in the same room. And that was at the studio recording our first album. It was funny. Yeah. And like I said, the band's evolved with every album. We've just, not with any intention, we've just the first album maybe was a bit more poppy, AOR-y rock than we actually like, maybe. It's just naturally how it came. Then each album became a bit more rock and a little bit more who we are, if you like, which came up to be the 4th album, Who We Are. So right. Yeah, I think there's a sound there, because I've noticed a few bands now where people have said, oh, this sounds a cross between this band, and Vega. And it's awesome when you start having people, say that you have a sound, And that was why it was really important that this album had something familiar about it. We weren't going to dismiss who Vega are, because that's just not, that was never the point of anything. It's like, let's just write the songs, and they should naturally become, an evolution of the band again.
That's right. That's a great story to hear that, how you got started. And, you mentioned that first album, Kiss of Life, and you guys went into, that was with Frontiers, and then you went into, what was it, Spine Farms Records?
Yeah, because when we did the demos for What the Hell, Frontiers weren't that keen. They said, oh, we thought you were going to do a pure AOR album. We're like, well, we never said we were an AOR band. I don't even own a Journey album,
Right.
And, and it's not that I don't like them. It's just that I'm just not a fan, And so we were a little bit disappointed with their reaction. So we said, well, with that, will you please release us? And they actually did. There was no bad blood, no calling names. It was like, okay, we wish you well. And we went with Spy and Farm, and it was licensed to a few other labels. And in all honesty, it didn't work out. It was not a great situation. And so when it came to the 3rd album, because we hadn't fallen out with Frontiers, we just said to them, look, here's the new set of stuff. What do you think? And they said, yeah, we'd love you to come back. And we went back with them. And then, funnily enough, when we did the Joe Elliott's Down and Outs tour, we needed to finance it. So we actually relicensed What the Hell through Frontier. So they ended up having it anyway. So.
That album is good too, because it's a little different. It has more like
Absolutely.
That modern kick to it.
It's a lot of people's favorite album, I think, maybe for that reason. But the reason I see it is because that started to show who Vega really were. I mean, the first album, Kiss of Life, it's a Vega classic, if you like, but the Vega sound really started to happen from What the Hell onwards, as far as I'm concerned. That's the familiar Vega the familiar Vega sort of like guitar parts and vocal parts and key, you know, that's when we started to put our own stamp on it.
You could definitely hear that. And that was actually my next
Yeah,
question, because you got back with Frontiers for Stereo, Messiah, and that
yeah,
album. And you know, and you could hear that. You could hear that progression
yeah,
and the growth all the way through on. That was
yeah.
another great album.
Yeah, and as songwriters, we started to sort of fall into our niche. Tom and James and I, you know, they would come up with a musical idea and they send it to me, and then I would come up with the vocals and what have you, and it just worked. You know, we never on all the Vega albums that Tom, James, and I wrote, we were never in the same room when we wrote a song together. They would come up with a musical
That's cool.
idea. They would come up with a musical idea, send it to me, and I would come up with my bits, and we'd have the demo. You know.
Yeah, that's always interesting to hear that. Yeah,
We actually tried writing a song. We actually tried writing a song together in a room once. You know, we said, let's do it. Oh, yeah. And it was like, nah, no good. I'll go home.
it's you
Send
got to
me,
do
send
what's
me
best for the
another
baby.
song. I had a 3-hour drive from their house. I said, come up with something by the time I get home.
There you go. There you go. They
You
probably
know,
did too, huh?
we probably did. Yeah, they just sent me something. I mean, that back in the early days, before you know they had kids, and you know, it was a case of they would send. They used to sort of like do music through the night. I would wake up in the morning and have an email with some music on. They would be in bed sleeping through the day. I would write the lyrics and the vocal melodies and record a demo, send it back to them as soon as they got up in the evening. Bosh songs. So songs generally were only taking 24 hours back in those days.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing to hear it.
We're all
And then
grown
know
up
how it was
now, and
written.
we've all got kids now, so working through the night is not an option.
That's it. You got to work around everything. That's it.
Yeah.
You mentioned a little earlier before you got into Vega, you know, with bands like Kick and Eden,
Yeah.
and you really did some great stuff too, like you know, Sweet Lick of Fire, and
Mm.
there was another song I wanted to bring up. You did a song for Charming Grace
Oh
called
yeah,
Every Time
yeah,
You Touch My Heart. That
yeah.
is a great song. It's like it kind of reminds me
Well,
of like a
yeah,
Bon Jovi type song.
yeah. I mean, obviously, I didn't have anything to do with the writing of that. I just they had the demo and what have you, and obviously, I just maybe embellished it a little bit with my style. But funny enough, the funny story is, I recorded my vocals with Pete. So at the time
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
great.
have any. I had recording equipment, but not what I would deem good enough to record for an album. So I just phoned
Right.
Pete, because I've known him for years, and said, "Mate, can I come over? We've got a bit of a budget. Can I come over to your studio and record it?" So I did. And the funny thing is, we were just obviously recording someone else's stuff. So we were making up our own lyrics just for a laugh at times. So there's then, you know, you can imagine every time you touch my, and there would be something else dropped in differently. And it wasn't
Right,
any
right.
disrespect to you. It's just when I'd cock up a line, I would just go into something else. Every time you touch my ass, you know,
Yeah.
time you touch my cock, oh, because
That's
I
you got to
didn't
have
really get
fun
the
with it. That's
melody.
it. That's
Yeah,
it.
because if it's not your melody or your lyrics, it doesn't quite come as naturally. I'm crap at remembering my own lyrics, let alone someone else's. You know.
Yeah, that's right. That's tough. You got all that hitting
Yeah,
you
yeah.
different sides. You know, we talked about you know, the writing and the different bands and everything. What about some of your influences? I think
Hmm.
that your style incorporates so many, you know, cool elements of rock and the hard rock, the AOR.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Uh, uh, it's. I think you kind of write what from a singer point of view, you write what's most comfortable for your vocal style, I suppose. So my style is obviously a bit of a quite I suppose it's been compared in the past to when I'm singing the big stuff. It's a bit of the Bruce Dickinson, Jeff Tate, James LaBrie kind of thing. But then I
Right.
do the low end stuff, which is a bit Joe Elliott, a bit John Bon Jovi. So you kind of you write what feels comfortable for where you know you fall into it, you know. But all those bands I've just mentioned there, maybe not so much Dream Theater, because blimey, it's you know, as I can see your album
That's
cover
right.
behind you. Yeah.
That's
But
right. Oh yeah.
so yeah, I love all that stuff. I love the hooks, you know, I love, you know, obviously Def Leppard. I've always, people know that's my favorite band, you know, and Bon Jovi of old, you know, amazing right up until Have a Nice Day. I think was probably their last really cool album.
Right. I
Um,
agree.
But then vocally, I love bands like Badlands, like Ray Gillan.
Great
But
band.
even though if I listen to a song and that maybe Pete sent me an idea on the last album, I think I just can't, I haven't got anything good. And then maybe I think, well, that sounds a little bit like Alter Bridge, or that sounds a bit like this band. So I might go and listen to them, not to rip them off, but to listen to what they did. Did they sing a bit of a flowing line over it, or was it a bit staccato? And I actually end up singing any favorite song of mine. I end up just singing the choruses or the verses over music, just so I think, okay, now I've got that kind of idea of the rhythm of what I want to do. I just got to find the notes to suit it,
right.
So it can be anything. I used to listen to musical ideas I've got to write vocals to, and I used to drive with the window down, and you might hear a sound or a horn in the background or something that just was a starting note. It was weird. It was just anything like that would be, oh, I'll just drop that in there. So the inspiration can come from anywhere, really. It's
That's cool.
I can hear a pop song with a great melody, but I'm a rock singer, so I'm going to sing it like a rocker. So it might be a pop melody, but I'm la da 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 da. I'm going I'm going to give it.
Make it more aggressive. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's definitely it. Do you feel like it gets easier for you the more albums you do? I mean, is it easier now to write, or is it?
In all honesty, this album for me and Pete was so easy. Maybe because it was fresh for us to be doing it this way together. A lot of people say, "Did you feel the pressure?" And it was like, maybe before we wrote that first song, I didn't feel the pressure. I was just thinking, oh, I hope this works out. And as soon as we wrote that first song, it was easy. But no, because we were both so excited and we were just geeing each other on. And also, there was no sort of like, I'm the singer, so I'm writing the vocals. And he was like, well, I'm writing the music, so you can't touch. It was basically, we would critique each other the whole time, but it was so constructive. It would be a case of, okay, cool, try this or try that. And there'd be times when I'd be like, I'd sing a line and I'd know deep down whether it was there or not. Now, if I had an ego about it, I'd be like, well, I still want to keep it as mine, so I'm going with it. But we both wanted this album to be as good as it possibly could be. So if I did something, I thought, I don't know, I feel like there could be something more there, but maybe I just haven't got it. I'd say to Pete, what would you do on that bit? And it might just be a word or an end note or something, but it would be really, really cool. And like I said, the same with the music. Like I gave an example with the Heroes and Zeros. Pete had the musical idea there, but it's like, well, instead of having it there, have it there, and there, because it's awesome. So no, it was really easy because we were just so excited and we couldn't wait to sort of like work on the next song.
That's great to hear that, because it comes off to that as a listener.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good album, but it kind of sounds like it could be a live album too, because that's the way it projects.
Yeah, and I think that just comes from the energy, because I guess when you're having fun with something, that energy comes out. Now, don't get me wrong, I've loved all of the Vega albums, Grit Your Teeth and Anarchy and Unity being the last two before this. And I've always believed, and we've always believed every time we go into it, this is the best one. This is the best one. Because if you don't feel that way, what's the point? That's right. What is the point? And with this album, I thought, yeah, this is the best one. And we had more songs than we needed. We had a song called Too Much Too Soon. And it's like, just the CD's just getting a bit long. Sometimes people just get it's a bit long. But then we had this problem when it came to the vinyl. The album, even without that song, was still 45 minutes or something. It was too long for a single vinyl. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And then the label said, well, you could make it a double vinyl. But then it just seemed like there'd be two songs on one album. So we said, I'll tell you what, we've got this song called Too Much Too Soon, which we wanted on the album, but it just wasn't going to fit. And we had to lose something. So something had to go, kind of thing. So on the vinyl, so we got this double red colored vinyl, which looks awesome. There's an exclusive track on the vinyl. So it's not going to be on streaming websites. It's not going to be Apple. It's not going to be on Spotify. It's not even going to be on the CD. It's just on the vinyl. And that's a song called Too Much Too Soon. Yeah, so yeah, it is exciting to be doing something like that, because it's just encouraging people to sort of like, I mean, vinyl outsells CD now, I think, doesn't it? So it's just cool just to encourage people to sort of keep that going, really. which is a kind of like what 33s and 45s is about. Because you mentioned about earlier back in the day, because I was speaking to people that I've been doing a few of these interviews, and I said that I remember back in the day when you'd have a new album, like be it on vinyl or cassette, and you know, you hear about people, you know, maybe sniffing drugs or whatever. I was sniffing album covers because of that fresh.
It had that smell.
Yeah, it had that smell. Yeah, and so and back in those days, you'd be listening to albums, the whole album from start to finish, as the band expected you to do it. You plan these things. It's not just throw them in there. It's not like people listen on Spotify and just put on shuffle. You put these songs in an order that you want people. It tells a bit of a story, if you like. And those days, you'd be listening to an album, reading the liner notes, looking at the photos. You'd even look at the thanks lists and, you know, the credits. You do, and that was such good times. And that's what 33s and 45s is about. It's the fact that music back in those days was a drug, and it still is for me. But people are missing out with the whole streaming thing. And even people of my generation, we're kind of forgetting what we loved about it in the first place, because streaming's become far too convenient. And there's that line in there about music but on intravenous feeds, because it's just on your phone the whole time. And I look at the statistics for songs on all of our albums, and the first song's got the most plays, and as you go down the list, down the album, the last song will have the least amount of plays, because people just don't have the same. They'll just listen to songs now and then, switch it to the next one or turn it off. Whereas back in the day, if you put an album on, you put an album on, because you were going to listen to it, and you'd at least get to the end of a side before flipping the vinyl or turning the cassette around. You wouldn't just stop it. You would, no, when I'm done on this side, then I'll be with you. Then I'll do the washing up, Mum.
Yeah, that's it. And that was the appreciation for it, because it was an experience. And now it's just it's like a one hit type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a shame that, because I've been spat off on Facebook about this, that on Spotify, for example, as an artist, every one stream of a song earns us 0.005p per play, and then you got some that will go to the record label, and then you got to split it with all the songwriters. So, you know, we have a few million plays on our Spotify, but I still couldn't even buy, you know, pizza with the money that I earn.
It's amazing.
It's you know, that's why bands are touring all the time, and you don't see much new music now, because there's no point. You can't live off it.
Yeah, you're just making it for fun, just like you said. You're doing it for the fans and yourself as an artist.
And the t-shirt sales.
That's it. That's exactly right. You know, Nick, when you look back at your musical career, what are some of the things that, you know, that stand out for you? Some of the things that you're most proud of?
I think well, it's connected to music, like in all aspects of my life. Everything is. You know, I met my wife through this band. My daughter's now into this kind of music, so that makes me proud that kind of has all happened as well. My number one hero in life is Joe Elliott from Def Leppard, and now we're friends. You know,
that's great.
And those things, and that's I put down to the fact that I'm doing an all right job. But then from just always writing these songs and still loving what I'm doing is the main thing I'm proud of, because I am doing this because I love doing it. And some people will like it, some people won't like it, some people will love it. And so just the fact that I'm still doing it, I'm still passionate about it. We had an interview the other day where someone asked, what's each band member's most annoying habit? And Pete's annoying habit about me was the fact that I just get too excited sometimes. And they're like, fuck me, sometimes we just have to say, Nick, stop. You know, because I'm just still buzzing like a kid, just like for doing this. You know, you know, there's gigs I've done and there's albums I've done and all that, but you know, it's the way that the things I'm most proud of is the impact it's had on my life and other people's lives around me, really.
That's great to hear. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
What about what's up next for Vega? I know you guys have a tour coming up, album coming out on September 8th.
Yeah, I mean, we got our biggest UK tour yet, and then we've got some European dates next year. And we've got an agent who's obviously looking at booking gigs now, so I'm hoping they're going to start coming through thick and fast. But it's still tough out there. Post-COVID, it's still tough, you know, with venues and because people people generally, the size venues that we're doing, for example, people generally aren't pre-buying tickets. They'll decide on a night or a week before,
Right.
and that's tough on bands because you kind of, that we've said about breaking even, and you know that you need to feel like you've got a guarantee of those ticket sales coming in. So it's a bit squeaky bum time for bands because people are a bit nervy still about buying tickets, and like in COVID we all got used to lockdown, so we've all got very comfortable with Netflix and Amazon, and so getting people out of the house is a tough thing. It's a tough thing this day and age. I'm actually me and the family, we're going out tonight to see Dan Reed because I live in Sweden and he's playing a gig down the road and I'm friends with Dan. And this is another thing I've got
Nice.
my heroes. I've got heroes of mine that I'm friends with now, so I'm jumping up on stage with him tonight to do a song as well. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah, so we're just going to do as many gigs as we can. We'd love to be over, in your neck of the woods. But again, it just takes the almighty dollar, doesn't it? Because you can't be out of pocket this day and age.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just barely breaking even, you gotta make sure the label gets you. Just say, hey guys, look,
that's
we need to get over here.
The label's great, but they don't do that side of things. But I would take barely breaking even. We're all at the age where we want those new experiences. So if we were going to get someone, say, the offer of a US tour, and it's like, well, by the end of it, you'd probably be £1,000 down, we'd probably take it because that would be worth it, because it would be an investment that you probably get back over, a period of time. Because a lot of the time with this kind of thing, this is, you don't make the money there and then. It's speculate to accumulate. So you've got to take those risks now and hope that the reward comes a little bit later down the line. But it's got to be a realistic risk. Yeah, it's just got to be realistic. That's it.
That's it. I totally agree with you. Nick, how about any last words for the fans?
It's always tough when people ask that one because yeah, it is. But look, we're just glad that we still have the fans that have been with us from day one or album one. Then we've got more fans from album 2, 3, 4. So it's not about thanks to the fans who stuck with us. We're just glad of anyone who likes Vega, spreads the word about Vega, listens to Vega, because just to feel that in this big wide world, I can look on Spotify and see that people's listening to our music, or YouTube. It's just a great feeling. I think it's a feeling that maybe we all take for granted. Sorry about screaming kids in the background. Yeah, but it just feels good that we're still doing it, and that the only reason we're doing it is because we have fans that enable us to do it. And it's not like we're a big band like Leopard or Motley Crue, but we still need to have it's all relative. We still need a certain amount of fans to be able to do what we do.
Exactly. And eventually you'll get to that point. You just keep growing. Keep doing it.
I don't know if we'll get to that. Don't know if we'll get to that point, but we'll get to a point where we're like, well, this is pretty cool.
That's it. That's all you can ask for. That's for sure. Yeah. Hey, in closing, I just want to say thank you for doing what you do, because it means a lot to me as a fan, and it's an art, and I really appreciate it, man. Just keep doing it. I love the band.
No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you know the history, and you're a real fan of that, and you love the new album. That feels good to me. So I really appreciate it. It's been good for me too. That's
a great album. Thanks, Nick. And I wish you guys the best of luck with Battlelines. I mean, September 8th, everybody that's listening, this is an album that you have to get. This isn't even I agree. Hey, agreed. Listen to it, cover to cover. Excellent. Wish you the best of luck, Nick. And thanks for joining me on Talking to Fastlane, man. I love having you.
No, thanks, man. It's been a pleasure. Cool.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Take care, man. Bye. Take care.
Bye.